Welcome back to the Leadership Lounge. This is where I spotlight leaders who are doing it right, and I like to give them their flowers. So today is no exception, and let me introduce who I'm bringing onto the stage. What do you get when you combine a fractional HR executive with 25 years of real leadership, grit, an ICF certified coach who can read a room in seconds, and a trusted partner who turns chaos into clarity and momentum? You get my friend DBK, otherwise known as Denise Beers-Kiepper. Denise has guided leaders through the toughest moments of growth and transformation. She sees what's being said, what's not, and delivers truth with heart so people actually move forward. She's known for helping teams find their footing fast by reconnecting to purpose, strengths, and aligned action. I am thrilled to welcome her into the Leadership Lounge today. Get ready, because DBK brings the kind of clarity that shifts how you lead the minute you hear it. Welcome to the show, my friend.
It's so good to see you, Linz.
It is so good for you to be here. Thank you for coming on the show. It is absolutely my pleasure to share your story. And that's exactly where we're going to start. So for those who haven't met you yet, can you share a little of your story?
You bet. Absolutely. And thank you for having me on. I have just valued our connection, friendship from day one, and it continues to grow. I love the way you shout out and celebrate other leaders. Thank you.
Thank you.
My story. So I am an accidental HR executive. I had no intention of being an HR leader until someone saw and pulled me into an internship rotation in HR, which I begged not to be a part of. and you don't get to say no, right? So there I was in HR, and miraculously she understood that it was where I was meant to be. I never left HR after that. I absolutely loved it. I've been in multiple industries, little tiny companies, big organizations, doing HR executive leadership my whole career. Spent a lot of time in finance and banking, which is really where I cut my teeth and got my real grit and understanding of like what business is really all about. And I spent most of my career in Metro Detroit, moved to the South about 8 years ago because I love the sunshine so much and it was just calling me. And all along the way, about 14 years ago, I started this little side gig where I was like, people were asking for my help and, hey, can you just help me? Or can you help my friend who's really struggling? Or can you zoom into this and help understand like what's really going on underneath of it? And this little side gig started to evolve that I would say, oh, like maybe one of these days I'll do all the stuff I really love about my professional career, which was coaching and culture and really helping people sort through really challenging problems to get to a place that was more productive and meaningful and impactful. And that really like lit me up. And when I moved south, I was in a corporate role during COVID, which was really tough in an industry that was exceptionally hard to be in during COVID because I was in hospitality. So we didn't shut down, right? Everybody was active and I was traveling in and out of all the hotbeds and all the intensity. And after COVID, I started really noticing how challenged cultures were and how challenged individuals were. And more people started reaching out and saying, hey, there's something more and I don't know what it is, but we got to figure it out. Can you help me figure it out?
I just want to pause right there for a second, because I think that's a great place to dig in. And I think right now we've never had more volatility, more uncertainty, more insecurity in the workplace. And I think HR gets a bum rap. And I think so many companies are doing it wrong. They've put their HR teams in a position of putting out fires instead of being true partners to the business. And I saw this firsthand as a sales leader. And it wasn't until I had a great leader who recognized, no, HR actually needs a seat at the table and I'm going to give it to them, that I really started to figure out, wait a minute, these people aren't here just to help us out of the legal snafus. These people are here to help us build the right cultures. And so I would just say, I mean, and you tell me if I'm right here, for any organization that is struggling with their culture, hiring somebody like you who isn't on the inside, but who can see things clearly might be just what they need.
Absolutely true, Linz. I mean, when I ripped off the Band-Aid and started doing this full time, I saw it more and more. I had always seen it, right? I had the opportunity and privilege of being in rooms with people who were more like-minded than the average HR group and the average leadership team.
Yeah.
And what I saw in that space was exactly what you're describing. When HR has a strategic seat at the table, there is a completely different conversation and the opportunity to build a completely different culture
Yeah.
and mindset around the relationship between team members and leaders, and make it more of a partnership and more of an adult peer conversation than a parental child conversation. And shifting that culturally is incredibly impactful.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. And we're seeing some of our pals that are joining the call
Oh,
right
I love
now.
it.
So, hi,
Yay.
Tanya. Hi, Melissa. Keep the comments coming, guys. We love it. I think you hit that spot on. And when I think about what you're capable of when you are empowered, and this is true for really any role.
Mhm.
If you're being micromanaged, if you're being put in a corner and asked to do certain tasks, your impact is going to be fairly limited. So one of the questions I had for you, because we're in this chaotic time, is when a team's in chaos, what's the first signal you look for to help you understand where the problem's really coming from?
Yeah. So, culture gets a really bad rap because
Yeah.
there's so much buzz around it, but so little real intention put behind it being authentic. And so, when you find an organization that comes to me and says, like, we don't understand what the disconnect is. Like, we're super clear. We tell everybody what we expect. We tell everybody what we need. And it says it right here in our mission statement. Why isn't it happening? Right. The truth of the matter is we're not bringing
Maybe it's you.
right. And so, like, the leaders will say, like, we all get it at the leadership level. Why isn't everybody coming along with us? And what happens often is that somewhere along the way, the leadership team got so ingrained in what they knew that they forgot that they had to translate that as they grew the organization. And so a lot of times we have to step back to go forward, and we put a pause in it, and we understand, okay, today, put a pin on what's actually valued today. What's rewarded? What are you accepting that's not aligned with what you actually believe you are creating culturally? Because if you're accepting things that are misaligned, that's the culture you're creating
Yeah.
or allowing, right? And so how do we unwind that? We go backwards. We start to really get ground level intentional about what are not the mission statement on your wall, right? But the values that sit inside of the leaders and the owners and the founders of these organizations. And that organization has something that is really their why, right?
Yeah.
What's that? And how do we bring that to life? And what does it look like when you are aligned? And what does it look like when you are not aligned?
You
And
know,
make it
you
so
you
clear.
bring up you bring up such a good point, and I think leaders sometimes lose the plot when they get really kind of fixated on quotas and board missions and all the things that they're required to do to run the business,
Yep.
and they forget that not everybody has heard their passion behind the company.
Right.
And I think it's incumbent on every leader to be doing those temperature checks and asking, hey guys, do you know why we're here? Do you know what we're working on? What is our mission? And if they don't know, it's your job to share it. And it's your job to make it so easy and so digestible and get them excited about it. Because I'm
Yes.
sorry, if you're a leader, you have to inspire your teams. You just do. And
Absolutely.
you're
If
not
you're
just
not, you're
there
not
to
a leader.
yeah, you're not there to just push paper, and it's not there as a rung on the ladder. You've got to do more than that. So,
Absolutely true. And, Linz, I think that relative to that too, where leaders kind of get disconnected sometimes is they say, you should be excited about this. This is great. And
oh, yes, let me get
by
right
the
on
way,
that.
if you don't tell me how you're going to capture my spirit and my heart and connect me and
Yeah,
whatever my piece of that work is to a contribution at a higher level, I'm still not feeling the connection, right? I
yeah.
still don't understand where I'm adding value. I still don't see like my attachment to the big picture.
Such a good point. I mean, I actually had a team. I remember this. I had a woman on my team who asked me, she's like, Lindsay, I need to understand our work in the bigger picture. What's
Mhm.
the impact we're making? And I was kind of like, no one's ever asked that before.
Great question.
So I've got to give that to her, and I've
Yeah.
got to give it to the rest of the team because I don't think they know either. And it was really one of those moments where I was like, I don't know if I've been doing such a good job, and I don't even know if I know the answer. So I got to
Right.
go back and find out and make sure that, yes, of course, if you're in sales, it's pretty linear, right? It's your number, you're contributing to the bottom line. But what else?
Right.
And
What are those tentacles, right? What are the
right.
like before and after pieces that bring it even bigger, right?
Yeah. Okay, so here's a good one for you. What's a leadership habit people think is helping them, but it's actually creating fear or confusion?
This is such a good question. And so there are a couple, but I think the one that really stands out for me is when a leader decides that rather than digging into how to solve the problem, that they're just going to solve the problem for that person and not actually address the core issue, right? And so if I call this the snowflake snowball avalanche effect, right? So if you live anywhere where it's snowed, you'll understand this very clearly. If you clear off
Yes.
your sidewalk early when it starts snowing, it is a very easy lift. If you wait for half of the day, or God forbid, the whole day, and then you have to go out and clear off your sidewalk, there's a giant snowball at the end of it. You got to move it off, get it out of the path, right? It takes a lot more energy, effort, time, right? If you keep ignoring it, like one of my former neighbors in Michigan, then you clear it off and you create this giant snow wall that's like ready to be an avalanche for anyone walking by. It is exactly the same relative to addressing issues and concerns and solving problems. If we don't wait and we address it right away, like, oh, this is a little problem, right? We're just going to talk about it right now. We're going to figure out why it's a problem. What's the disconnect? What's the challenge? And start to get course correcting early. Easy lift, right? If we wait a little while longer, then there are other things that you have to like melt away and move out of the way, and it's more time consuming. And if we wait till the end of the year performance evaluation, God forbid, which I'm an anti-annual performance girl.
We could talk about that for the entire show.
100%, yes. But if we wait that long, right, then other people have already been likely harmed, or we are running the risk of harming not just another individual, but the team and the overall culture. And so it's really not addressing that issue in a way that is effective, where they think they're just going in and solving it so you can keep moving.
Okay, what's a question leaders never ask that would instantly make them better at their jobs?
I would say most often, tell me what I'm doing really well that you want me to keep me doing more of, and tell me what you want me to stop doing.
So my version of that is, how can I be the best leader for you?
Yeah.
And chances are they'll tell you the good and the bad, but that's a humbling question.
Yes.
And the way you said it and the way I said it, and I'll tell you, I've done this. And when you ask that question, you're admitting you don't know everything. And that's really hard for people to admit. And the truth is, nobody knows everything. So knock that off. That's just stupid. But when you can ask it and you've created a safe space for the answers, then you can support your people in all the best ways.
Yes. And by the way, leaders who can show vulnerability, statistically speaking, data shows it over and over again. Those are the most impactful leaders. Those are the people that bring a team with them, that have followership, not just like direction and lemmings following a direction, but real heart followership. Because if I can be vulnerable as a leader with you, that says that you can be vulnerable with me.
That's right.
And that is a really important reciprocal relationship that you can't replace.
I love that. Vulnerability is such a killer power skill. And anybody that thinks it's not and think they need to be all polished, and that's not what people want. And it's, I whenever I'm coaching LinkedIn workshops, I always tell my clients, I'm like, we're going to put something personal in there. And they're like, what? And I said, yes, we're going to, it could be I break for tacos. It could be like, I collect pigs. It could be like,
exactly.
I'm a wiener dog lover. It doesn't matter what it is.
No, it doesn't.
It's done. It's made you a little more interesting, and you're giving people a softball. You're giving people a way in. And it's such an easy thing for people to
Right.
connect to.
And
So
you're being real, like
yeah,
you're a real human, right? If you just only show this varnished and perfect image, what you're saying without saying is that all of you need to be inauthentic because that's what's expected.
yeah,
And then you don't get the real person. And then you get people leaving because they can't be their whole self.
yes, agreed. Okay, so I love this question. What's your leadership superpower?
Oh gosh. My leadership superpower without question is really being able to grasp and understand what's going on underneath of the surface really fast.
You're a
Um,
highly intuitive leader. So yeah,
I
I
am.
would agree with that.
I am. And that lets me kind of sort through the noise really
Yeah.
quickly and start to be a truth teller, which I am.
Yeah.
Not everybody wants a truth teller. That's okay. But the people who are my people want to hear honest, truthful interaction and feedback around, hey, like this is what's really happening here.
Mhm.
Right. And how do we solve to get to where you want to go? Because there's a gap, right? And how do we
Mhm.
bridge it and get to this other place where you really want to be?
Well, every superhero also has a kryptonite. So, what is the thing that you're maybe not as good at? Because, we're vulnerable here. So, we talk about the
I
warts.
love it. Absolutely. I mean, I have a list, but we'll start with the one that's my most hated, and it's called Excel. If you,
Oh,
if you want to punish me and put me in purgatory, you ask me to go work for a day in Excel.
okay.
And I actually had probably one of the bigger epiphanies that I had around my organization, or my organizational like path, if you will, where I was in an organization that was highly technical. I was working in a tech startup and everybody lived in Excel and Slack. Nobody wanted to have a conversation and everybody wanted to communicate just in spreadsheets and on Slack. And if anybody does HR work, like you can't really translate everything you do into either Slack or Excel. And so I started doing way more coaching. Literally, I would start coaching at 7 a.m. and coach at 6 or 7 p.m. so that I would bring my energy back up because that's my superpower and my strength. And in the day when I was sucked into this land of Excel and Slack and not having human
You're
interaction
disconnected.
I just started to like shrink, right? And it was really the big moment where I realized, hey, like this work that you're doing is the place where you're meant to be. Right?
Yeah. I mean,
I
you
still
can
have
get
to do Excel sometimes, but I try really hard not to. I have people
well,
who know how to do it well.
it also shouldn't be. I mean, it's such an easy way to be disconnected and get stuck in process instead of
Yeah.
stuck in people.
Yeah.
And I think it's a really bad way to manage your business. And I've worked with people that are like, I'll say, I never heard back from you. Oh, all my comments are in the Excel. I'm
Right.
like, we could have had a 10-minute conversation and now I'm gonna go get lost in this spreadsheet. Oh yeah, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and
That's
there's not nuance in that, right? And as we evolve into this world of
Mhm.
AI, the human interaction element is the part that all leaders are going to have to get better at because the other stuff is going to get taken care of more and more in the AI space,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
Jared, it is a data specialist dream. You are correct.
Yeah. Sorry, Jared. Although I don't
There's a
think
place
Jared's
for
that.
everyone. I
Yeah.
need someone like Jared, right?
Well, Jared is not a data. Well, maybe he is a little bit, but Jared's a pretty special dude. Thanks for being on, Jared.
I love it.
Um, what is the smallest shift a leader can make that can create the biggest ripple inside a struggling culture?
Listen with the intention to understand
Oof.
and the willingness to take action from what you learn.
Boom. Mic drop. Do you hear that, y'all? Listen. And you know what? I was just commenting on a post today on that. This whole like, if I'm a leader, I have to do machine gun word vomit to sound smart.
Yeah.
Nobody wants that.
No. And nobody
Nobody
listens
wants
to it
that.
either, by the way, right? And they try to sort through and say like, okay, what are they really saying here? I'm not really sure what they're really saying.
Well, and also
Um,
they're bouncing around. They're likely not
right.
staying on topic. They're likely just hurling every idea at you,
Yes.
and that intentional pause
Yeah.
is really important. Okay, time to give someone their flowers. Who believed in you before you believed in you?
I have such a long list of people like that along the way, right? Um, for this moment, the person that really jumps into my mind, aside from the woman who forced me to be in HR when I wasn't sure I ever wanted to do that, would be a friend of mine who's a recruiter, Mark Angot. And I have a very limited love for recruiters, by the way, like professional recruiters, because not all are like really wired the same. But this guy cared about people as a human. And if it were not for Mark, I would not be sitting here talking with you. And so when I was moving to Michigan from Ohio, I was interviewing for some different roles. He was helping me connect with people in Michigan. He's a Michigan guy. And he said, "Hey, I've got this great job I want you to go interview for at a bank." And I was like, hey, Mark, first of all, I don't like Excel spreadsheets. I don't wear a lot of Navy, and I am not quiet. And so I don't think I fit in a bank culture. Like, find me something else. And he's like, no, you don't understand. All of your experience historically in service and understanding service is so naturally connected. And I completely did not believe him at all. I went to the interview. I got the job leading HR in this really cool, like, regional bank where I got to do this work, being a part of leading that organization with my team to being on the Fortune Best 100 list multiple times and even being number 3 in the country.
So good.
And I wanted to say no to that job. And if it wasn't for Mark, I would never have done it.
Oh, so good. So good. All right, guys. So thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Thank you for telling your friends about this show. It is my way of giving back to you guys. So I want to make sure that you know you can go shopping on me. So I've got 2 things for you. That QR code will take you to that page, and that page you get a whole bunch of discounts, but my favorite Earth. And if you've ever heard of Cozy Earth, or if you haven't, it's been on Oprah's Favorite Things 9 times, and they have the most gorgeous, most luxurious bedding and housewares and cashmere and beautiful things. But you get 41% off if you use my code Lead with Heart, which is the deepest discount you can get anywhere. And on that page, there's a couple other brands with more deals for you. So go shop, have a good time. I get commission too. It's awesome. We all win. So enjoy. Fantastic. And guys, please tell your friends about the show. Have them come join us. We love this interaction. It's so much fun. And yeah, back to the show. So am I doing this? Okay, hide.
I love it, Linz. I love it. I love the Cozy Earth.
No, Cozy Earth is the best. And you know, the most fun thing I see is after I do these shows, I can tell my people are going shopping because I get notifications. It's great. Okay, so now for the Lead It or Leave It speed round.
I love it.
Admittedly is not speedy because you can comment on any of these topics, but it's fun. Okay, so here we go. And I know how you're going to answer on some of these, but I'm encouraging you to elaborate. So the first topic, coaching the human and not the model.
Oh,
say lead it if you like it, leave it if you hate it.
Lead it all day long. Right? Yeah. The model is on paper, just like a resume is a piece of paper, just like your plan for 5 years is a piece of paper. You got to coach the human.
Okay. This one's a tricky one. Hiring for potential.
Love it. Leave it. Yes.
Lead it.
Lead it with a plan, right? Yeah. You hire for potential and you don't have a plan and you don't help that person get there. It's not their fault. It's yours.
Can louder, because guys, you could find the most amazing candidate with the greatest potential, but if you don't nurture that, if you don't pair them with people that are going to show them the way, you've done them a massive disservice. They're going to end up getting fired. They're going to feel hatred for the business and for you. And come on, do better.
Set them up to succeed.
All right. This is an interesting one. Sharing burnout stories.
Can I have context?
So let's think about it. You could do this a few different ways. I can see it on both. If people are going to share their burnout stories and get hung up on it and only talk about that, that's just toxic and that's not good. Mm-hmm. But if you are saying it from a protective space and you are saying, hey, don't be like me, don't get burnt out, and here's some things I did, maybe that's a better way.
Yeah. So I think this is like an absolute like double-edged sword, right? From the standpoint of I'm going to complain, but I'm not going to do anything about it.
Mm.
Right. So never please anyone who's never be the person who says to your CHRO or your CEO all the things that are wrong, but I don't want you to do anything about it. I don't
Oh, no,
say
no, no.
anything. I just want you to keep it between us. That's not how this works.
Yeah.
If that's your way of sharing your burnout, leave it. If you share your burnout for purpose, right? Storytelling for the purpose of helping people understand a path forward, right? For the purpose of getting community. I was just talking with one of my clients this morning about this subject. They're working 12, 15-hour days right now and trying to be, a mom and get ready for the holidays and all the things, right? And she was saying, like the team is also burnout, and some of them were sharing their burnout in a way that wasn't necessarily healthy. And so, it's not to not share it, but it's to share it in a way that is productive.
Yes.
That's what matters.
I like that you said that, because one of my favorite stories from early on in my career is I was very excited about the team that I was on. It was a big corporate job. At the time it was Lotus, before it was IBM. And I was so excited to be on this team. And I would run into my manager's office, and I was young, so I was dumb, but I ran in and I would be like, oh my God, there's so many things wrong. This is wrong. This is wrong. This is wrong. And she just sat there and she listened. And I did it a couple more times. And then she said, Lindsay, you're very astute. Thank you for, telling me all these things that are broken, but you come here, you tell me all this, and you never bring solutions. And I was like, oh, I'm the girl who bitches. That's terrible. It was
It's
the
true.
worst look. But you know what? I learned that really early, and I never forgot it. And I told my teams, I'm like, you can come to me with any problem, but I want you to think about a solution when you come. And that empowered them. It was a really cool way to
Right.
lead. So I like that one.
100%. And like the other thing that I encourage leaders to guard is come to me with your problems and challenges and show me what you see as solutions. And also know that we may not be able to change every single thing that you see right away. So help us have institutional patience and be part of the solution.
I love Jared's comment here. Shout out Outliers. DBK and I are both part of the Outlier Project, as is Jared, and so is Melissa. Along similar lines, on an Outlier project called I shared my decision fatigue and received incredibly helpful feedback on how to manage it from some incredible people. Super productive conversation. Jared, I remember that conversation. That was a great conversation, and we all suffer from decision fatigue. So yeah, we had some good tips that maybe Jared needs to come into the Leadership Lounge.
I think he does.
All right, we'll have to work on that. Okay, so here's another one. And I think I know how you're gonna answer this one, but I think this is a no-brainer. Bringing mindfulness to leadership.
Lead it, lead it, lead it. The one thing that we run past all the time is how we stay grounded and centered. And if you are a leader that can keep yourself grounded and centered, but also help your team have tools to do the same, you are an exceptional leader. It's really powerful.
I agree. But it also, we talked about taking that pause. It is such a powerful way. And, guys, if you aren't leaning on your intuition and you're just kind of motoring through your day, you're missing it. And so when you walk into a room, assess the room. You can tell immediately who's struggling, who's mad at who doesn't want to be there. Look at the body language. You can feel it. So if you allow yourself that moment to detect it, you're going to be so much stronger in everything you do.
One of the things that in regard to that too, I've always really encouraged my leaders who I've worked with to do when I was back in corporate and now when I'm doing coaching of executives is intentionally building in white space into their day and their week. And it sounds so basic, but it is one of the hardest things to get people to actually do of lots of the things that we talk about, right? Because it's just easy to like sweep away that boundary and say, it was white space. Now it's it's that meeting. We're going to talk about tactics, whatever.
Yeah. So here's the fix.
Right?
You want to give them the fix, how they do it?
Yeah.
How do they do it?
I mean, you block it. You
Yeah.
block it and you put an activity to it. You don't just have it as white space
Yeah.
with nothing in there, right? So you put a little intention into that white space. And so for some people, for example, I'm not a very good like still breath work meditator. I'm better if I'm active. My
Yeah.
brain is like always going 1,000 miles an
Walking
hour.
or
So
exercising or
walking,
yeah.
right? Getting out and getting fresh air and sunshine,
Yeah.
or, you know, doing a walking meeting on your headphones, right?
Yes.
Giving yourself a topic. And our friend Chris Shembra taught me this, right? He's like,
Yeah.
if I'm thinking about something I really want to work on, I just put on my voice notes and walk around and talk in my voice notes. And then
Yep.
it gives me the answer after
Yes.
I walk back and look at it. Right.
That's right.
And
So good.
so putting attention to that white space and also sharing that you do it with others.
Yes. And I'll also tell you, I had a leader that did this. Instead of making meetings 30 minutes or 50 minutes or an hour, you make them 20 minutes and you make them 50 minutes. And
Yeah.
so those 10 minutes, that's your bio break. That's your moment to collect yourself. That's your moment to pause.
Yeah.
That's your moment to take care of a couple to-dos that have been
Yeah.
hanging over from the meetings earlier in the day.
Right. Answering
Or
questions or
the
yeah.
text you have to send or whatever. Okay, here's
Yeah.
a good one. This is I don't know how you're going to say it, how you're going to take this one. Leaders crying at work.
Ooh. I think this is another one where it really is quite situational, right? When you are showing vulnerability and care or extreme passion, it might happen and it's okay, right? If you are crying out of a lack of emotional control, then we have a bigger problem and we need to understand what's underneath of that.
Yeah, that's bad. Okay. Celebrating failure.
How else do you learn? Leave it, lead it, do
Lead
it,
it.
right?
Lead it.
When we are able to thought that was going to work really well and it kind of fell flat or it was a disaster, right? Then we can look at how we can do it differently, right? We can learn from it. But if we want to shove it under the rug, we're not going to learn.
I love that. So, you guys, if you are enjoying this show and you'd like to be in the Leadership Lounge, you've got to just reach out to me with a DM and I will give you all the scoop. We've had, I think, 7 or 8 episodes now. They are so much fun. Next week is Dana, I can't say her name, Dana Georgiou. She's fantastic. I'm very excited for you to hear her. And then we're taking off for the Christmas holiday and for New Year's. I will be out of the country anyway. So we really want to make sure that we're in here live and ready to go with all of our guests. And the guests we have lined up for the next few months are fantastic. So if you like this, share it with your friends and reach out to me if you'd like to be on. I do have one opening in January, and otherwise we're out into April. So reach out, let me know. Okay, DBK, what are you working on now?
Ooh, I got a long list of this too, right? I've always got lots of ideas. Ideation is one of my top strengths. And so I've always got options running around in my head. So really one of the things that I'm working on a lot right now is focusing on choosing my new clients in a way that is continuously aligned with me and who I am. Right. And this is like, kind of stepping back into this entrepreneurial journey for a minute, right? When you first start something out, you're like, yes, all the clients, every client. Yes, 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 yes.
Never niche down. Yeah, I want everybody. Yeah.
And then as you start to grow and get more grounded in really what foundationally rings true. And I think, also what rang true 2 years ago for me is different than what rings true for me right now. And so continuing to align my energy in the place that lets me serve the people who I'm serving best is like at a really kind of high level, top of the funnel focus for me. Right. And always kind of asking myself that. I'm working on doing more speaking. I really want to get out there and do more speaking. I had some speaking engagements this year that were really fun and I received great feedback from. And so I'm going to continue to put myself in that space and for more opportunity in that regard. And then one of the projects that is always kind of in the back burner that I'm evolving slowly is I have a really strong passion for working with young talent and emerging leaders. And I
Mm.
have a program that I have built out of the work that I've done in that space already, and just figuring out how I want to best deliver it, and really get that rolling, because I have a great amount of passion around it.
I love that. So who are your ideal clients?
So you said it first, right? Individuals or organizations who are feeling untethered, feeling like things are confusing or not aligned anymore, feeling angst, feeling like there's got to be something better or a better way,
Yeah.
and lost on the path, right? From a company perspective, I really am pretty like industry agnostic, because I believe very strongly that really good people work has nothing to do with the type of industry, as long as you're willing to learn what matters to that business, because you have to be willing to do that. Um, and as it relates to size, I tend to be sweet spot between like startup to like small, medium size. I'll work with big organizations, but a lot of the times they don't have the need for someone like me, because they have a lot of people on their team. Now,
Right.
I will say I see an opportunity going forward where that's going to continue to be less of the case, and more of the need for this fractional kind of talent is going to evolve.
Mhm.
And so my clients are people who like want to sort it out. They're willing to do the hard work. They're willing to get honest and real and
Mm.
hear the truth, and then make some decisions on how to pivot and form new habits, form new leadership paths, form new connections with their teams.
Can you share a story of a client that you've worked with that the transformation that they underwent from working with you?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm going to pick an individual client as opposed to a corporate client. I have both, but my one individual client, more recently, is a pretty cool story. So I was referred this client from another HR executive. And when she called me, she says, "Hey, I've got this client for you if you're interested. Young professional, really talented, very smart, just not meant for our organization."
Mm.
And this person had already been fired once
Mm.
and was going to undergo like a restructuring in this second round. And she had just a sweet spot for the person, and said, like, will you just talk to him and
Yeah.
see what you think, right? So I get on the phone with this client, and they start telling me the story, and their confidence is like down in the basement, and their ability to really be clear on anything that they want is just, like, this is what my education was, I guess I have to do it, but I really am not feeling connected to it. I think they were 6 years out of college, right? So pretty established, not like right out of school. And so we started doing that unwinding work. We started focusing on strengths, and then on values. And then how does
Mhm.
that come to life in the kind of environment and the kind of work that you want to do? Tell me stories about when you were most successful, you felt most energized. And
Mm.
from all of that, this person looked at me and said, I don't want to be an engineer. I want to be a finished carpenter.
Ah,
And I was like, so one of my other superpowers is that I'm a super connector. And so usually I have somebody in my,
yeah.
network that are like, oh, I got you someone, no problem, right? I'm like, oh, I'm not sure how many finished carpenters I have in my network, but we'll figure this out, right?
Okay.
So we started doing, the networking and reaching out, both, helping this guy figure out what his network looked like, pulling in my network. Lo and behold, we found an organization in the market that he was at, that was owned by a 30-year owner who was looking for somebody who could potentially be a successor that he could mentor. He met him on his first interview. They talked for like 2.5 hours. They hired him a week later.
Amazing.
He messages me now a year and a half later. Every once in a while, I'll just get a little text and it says, I just love my job. I'm like, this is
Oh.
so cool, right? And he would never have thought that that's what he was going to do.
You know that's my husband's story, right?
No.
We met at IBM, and he was there for like 13 years, and he had moved to another company and was there for a short time, and it wasn't really not a great environment. Then he left. And so he was trying to find his footing and interview. And my family was the one that was like, what are you doing, Dad? You're so talented. You can build anything. Why are you doing this? And so I said, bet on yourself. I got you. I'm bringing in big bucks right now. So just go.
I
And
love it.
so I supported him while he started. And let me tell you something. He has never had to advertise. It's all word of mouth and referral. He does the most beautiful millwork. And he has his GC, and he does kitchens and bathrooms and basements and all that stuff. And it's been a total joy to watch. And yeah, it's really cool. But he has all the business acumen, so people love working with him.
Right.
And he sends handwritten thank you notes to every one of his clients, which is pretty good.
I love that.
Yeah. Yeah. What is next for you? Yeah, right.
What is next for me? So contemplating the idea of, do I at some point want to expand and have some people on a team? Or do I just want to always be me and me? And that's a lot of deep contemplation that I really don't have the answer for yet. I see opportunity in both spaces. I think, for me, the beautiful gift is that I get to do the thing that I love the most, and I get to see people grow and organizations grow in such a positive way that it's remarkable and so rewarding, right? And so more of really aligned. Hopefully that does involve speaking. I'm working on trying to get a TED Talk. I really want a TED Talk.
I keep getting that little whisper that it's time to do that too. So we'll have to discuss that.
Yes.
Where can people find you?
So you can find me on LinkedIn.
You can find her right here too.
I live on LinkedIn a lot. I'm also pretty active on my Instagram, which I think is attached to the little QR code.
Right.
My website is highlighted on both my LinkedIn and my Instagram, so you can get me there. You can drop me an email at denise@dbkcoaching.com anytime. I love to talk about this stuff. I could talk it all day long. My Facebook's attached to my Instagram, but my Instagram is really where you see me more.
Yeah.
In that regard.
This is her LinkedIn, but just send her a message. Say you heard her here and you wanted to dive in further because she was so brilliant. So what parting words do you have for our beautiful audience today?
I just, first of all, not being cheesy, but genuinely gratitude for you, Linz, and making this space for, in particular, other female entrepreneurs, because and together, and for female listeners and female entrepreneurs out there, if you're in corporate and you want to be an entrepreneur, know that there's a completely different world and space on the other side of corporate that looks and feels like nothing that you've experienced.
Yeah.
There are people like Lindsay and Tanya and Maria and a whole bunch of other women who are just waiting to lift others up and open doors. And that's really special. I think, parting words relative to the work that I do, if you feel like you don't know which way to turn, there is an answer. Sometimes you just can't figure it out by yourself. I have 2 coaches and a therapist, and I have people I work with all the time, and I have mentors and a little mini board of directors who all give me perspective and input.
And we're part of a community too.
And our outlier community is like the biggest gift ever. Like, if you all don't know anything about the Outlier Project,
ask us.
Lindsay and I will be like the biggest cheerleaders for it. I know Tanya, who was joining earlier, just joined the Outlier Project. It is an incredibly special community of people that challenge each other and support each other and open doors. That's one of my little words of wisdom. Never ignore an open door. You have an obligation to go through the door, see what's on the other side. You can always walk back out. But just because you think it's not your door, don't ignore it. Because if I would not be sitting here talking to you.
Good advice. I love it. Guys, I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Leadership Lounge. It is a delight and a privilege to do this. And thank you for showing up. Thank you for your comments and engaging. And DBK, I adore you. Keep shining bright, my friend. You are doing phenomenal work, and I'm very, very proud to know you.
Thank you. The honor is all mine. I am so proud to call you my friend. And I can't wait for our next conversation.
Oh, me too. Well, guys, have a great week. Get out there, lead with heart, and
Yes.
take care of each other. I'll see you soon.